Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Through in Cybersecurity Marketing. I'm one of your hosts, Gianna Whitver, here with my illustrious and velveted co-host,
Maria Velasquez.
And here we have a very special guest. And when I say his name, y'all are going to get so excited. You're going to start screaming wherever you're driving right now while listening to this podcast. We have the Don Jeter, CMO of Torq. Don, thank you for being on today.
Best intro ever. I love it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We love your hat.
We're definitely fangirling if the listeners haven't kind of gotten that vibe.
I love it.
So this is our post RSAC 2025 conference exclusive interview with the Don Jeter. Don, tell us a little bit about your booth experience and ROI at RSAC 2025 conference. You had Gravedigger, the monster truck, literally in your booth. It was eye-catching. It was incredible. It was a draw. Tell us about everything.
Man, this is the best build up. I hope I can deliver. Torq, official sponsor of Monster Jam. Shout out Monster Jam. Yeah, we brought the truck. I think leading up to RSAC, we talked a lot about it. And I think some folks didn't know if that was going to be real. Like if we actually had Gravedigger, if we were in partnership, like I think people thought, is this like a gimmick? Is this like a trick? And it was super cool. Like I think our booth was super crowded with just people interested in seeing the truck. Again, like the word gimmick sometimes gets thrown around. There's puppies, there's goats, it's just a spectacle at RSAC. But for us, like it really connected to the brand story that we've been telling, which is SOAR is dead, kill your SOAR, Gravedigger. It just makes sense. There's some connective tissue there. And then also like we wanted to tell people, hey, after you see us at the booth, come on tour with us. We're doing a 6-city Monster Jam tour. Come see us after the show, right? And come check out Gravedigger on tour in a city near you. So it was very fun to pull off, and I think people really enjoyed it. But it was integrated, right? We're doing this in a thoughtful way. It's more than just a big stunt with a monster truck. But no, it was a great time, and I think ROI TBD. No, I'm just joking. We saw incredible. It's the leading indicators are super strong for us. I pulled up some stats before this podcast just in case I got asked about measurement.
Oh my God.
We saw some incredible numbers. I won't get into all of them, but just the engagement online was wild. Like I don't think you can see an RSAC debrief or photos from that event without seeing a monster truck, which was the goal, right? We're really very much in an attention and awareness building mode right now for Torq. And I think that we were probably the most talked about cybersecurity company at RSAC. I've heard that at least many times.
Yeah. Talk of the town. Who said brand awareness doesn't build pipeline?
Oh man, no, I've been since day one at Torq. Like I truly believe brand leads to demand. And it's kind of nice to see that come back a bit. I think it's been like measurement overload for a number of years. And I think it's nice to see creativity and brand getting back in the spotlight a bit and people believing in that again, especially in the like age of like AI, volume AI content that's just for the most part crap. It's cool to see people start to value brand again. It's cool.
Love that. Talk to us about the ideation process of this campaign strategy for Monster Truck. I know you talked us through kind of like SOAR's dead, kill it, bury it.
I'd love to make it sound like there's this huge strategic, like super thoughtful, intentional process that we all go through. It's not that at all. Like for us, it's like, how do I distill down a very technical product, right? Which our product is incredible. And let me just preface all this by saying, and I said this to George and George, the bare knuckles guys, you can't do this type of marketing without the product standing up. Okay. Exactly. So the product's got to be very good and as advertised to be able to go out and do such bold, absurd, insane marketing with such a confident tone. So, but that being said, like it's a very technical product, right? And today, right, with attention spans and media cycles and just the doom scroll culture we all live in, you need to get attention so fast that for marketing and for marketers, you need to think about how do I distill down a very complex product and message into something that's really catchy and like you can kind of get it in 2 seconds. And for us, it's like, let's go attack the pain point. We heard over and over, SOAR sucks. SOAR is costly, it's complex, it requires a lot of expertise. I can't hire people fast enough to work on this thing. The talent shortage is real. And so it got to a point where the story just kind of wrote itself. It's like, SOAR is dead. This is old. It's not built for today. There needs to be an alternative approach, like a new approach to an old problem, which is automation. And so we started to work on that story and that kind of brand narrative, and it just stuck. Like, it really stuck. SOAR is dead was like very catchy. Kill Your SOAR became even catchier, and people really like bought in to that kind of movement. And that's what we wanted to start, as a movement against SOAR. And so then naturally, this like bold visual language to complement that narrative kind of was born. And slowly the skeleton just became synonymous with Torq. And from there, it's like, okay, how do we now tell this story in a new way for this year? And how do we do activations and bring this show kind of on the road outside of just having a cool visual language? Like, how do we create activations that get people excited and want to be a part of it too? And I was in Costco with my 3-year-old. And what you're going to find is all this marketing is just for basically children. Laser skeletons, chainsaws, pterodactyls, monster trucks. My son was playing with this monster truck and it's like, oh man, like, we talked to the team. It's like, we should do something just absurd. While everybody else is doing F1 cars, like, what's the exact opposite of F1? It's like this big monster truck. And so F1's fast, monster trucks just run over things. So it's like, you just kind of find opportunities, and that's kind of the strategy across the board, is find opportunities to differentiate every time you can. And so for us, this like Gravedigger being the truck, the most popular truck, it felt so obvious to us. So we took the leap, and then there's an incredible team behind all this that like is able to execute on these wild ideas. So
everyone talks about, how do we stand out? How do we break through the noise? And you break through the noise by just flipping things completely reverse and being completely unexpected and being absolutely wild and out there. I think we also see that in you guys' social media, which was really heavy, actually had an incredible story. Like, you basically did like a mini TV series. I describe it, when I describe it to other people, as Comedy Central circa like the 2000s, like the odds. You have this show.
See, that's what this audience grew up with. So like,
that's true.
That is very on point there. Yeah, that's a great observation.
Can you tell us about your social media work before RSAC and the story you built there?
We do think about content in a very like episodic way. And I think that there's something really rewarding for the audience who's following along to see a story that's not expected on a channel like LinkedIn. And like, let's be honest, like, LinkedIn is super boring, right? Like, for the most part, it's like white paper, survey, thought leadership. Everyone's a thought leader now. And then just also with just the AI saturation, the content's getting really, really boring and just really played out. So for us, it's like, and I think this is across the board, like, now, I think with this kind of copy paste economy we have, you really do need creative people coming up with what's next, like what will people like and respond well to. And I think that to do that, you don't need another prompt engineer. Like, this stuff doesn't come from prompts. Okay. Like, that's one thing I want to emphasize is everybody can make content now. Taste is sort of the moat, and being able to curate over just create, that's a thing. And I think you need people on marketing teams that understand all sorts of different things. You need a group of weirdos and like all sorts of different backgrounds who are fluent in subcultures and fashion, movies, music, technology, and feeling, and figure out where things are going on the internet. And so for us, it's like, a lot of times we're just making stuff that we would like. I think that's kind of the secret. We're not necessarily thinking, or certainly not doing A/B testing or doing audience research on, will they like this? Honestly, like, we look at the audience as a reflection of us, and what we grew up with, we think will work. And usually if we get really excited about it, the audience is going to get really excited about it. And there's no research or data or measurement that's going to tell you, yeah, you guys should do content with a junior media intern in a van driving around, going to boat shows, having a pet falcon with a background where he used to work at PetSmart. Like, that comes from somewhere else. And I think for us, just what's been so fun about the whole Torq experiment is we're making stuff that we really enjoy, that we really believe in, and the market's responding really positively to it.
I like that you called it the Torq experiment. When has, and maybe nothing has, but when has something failed? If you're not doing that A/B testing and you're kind of going on gut.
When we first got to Torq, we tried to do a lot of really technical marketing. And you probably don't even remember this because it's not memorable. We were doing a lot of use case stuff. We were doing a lot of really feature function oriented marketing and trying to tell you exactly how the product works instead of telling you the feeling you get when you migrate away from SOAR. And this has been pretty common for me throughout my marketing background is if you assume that people care about how your product works or the features and functions within your product, you're almost like, I think you're just making an assumption that's just not based in reality. Like people do not care. There's too much information out there. And I think for us, it's like you got to start with that idea that no one's paying attention to you. And they're certainly not paying attention to your features and functions yet. And you have to make them pay attention and care. And to do that is not leading with all about us. Hey, look at what our product does. Look at what this feature does. Look at what this function does. This is 10x better. Everybody's doing that. For us, like it's very much starts with like, yeah, like what is the story? What is the pain point? And more about the customer's pains and saying that we really understand their pain. We understand that it's really hard to hire people right now. We understand that building automations is difficult with legacy products. And then we creatively wrap that story in some sort of package that will break through the noise. So honestly, like the things that don't work is when you start about your product. I really do believe that. Like if you walk that RSA floor and you saw the 400 or 500 booths or whatever, and you look at the copy on the banners, it's very product centric and about the product. And when you have 400 or 500 booths lined up and they're all talking about 10x, agentic, it turns into just complete noise. And we fell into that trap early at Torq by talking about a very specific use case. I'm not saying that that content's not needed. It is needed when you have their attention and their awareness about their problem. You just can't start with that. And I think the challenge for a lot of companies, a lot of technical founders as well, is they want to start with that product story instead of talking about the kind of the industry, the challenges for the customer, and backing into how your product could solve that challenge.
Love that. It's kind of brilliant, really, because we spend so much time doing persona research and mapping the use cases to the different security teams, the different people in the security team, create content based on that. What you've done is completely detached the persona and those pain points from, at least from your most recent strategy, right? And
Yes.
just went straight to the human, right? Because it's just so good. It's so good. It's a great example. I really, really do hope that a lot of the people that are listening today could take some of this back to their team and maybe back to their CMO and try to make some changes in their strategy to try and replicate some of this.
You can overanalyze too. Like I think that's one thing that is just killing teams is the analysis and the measurement of all things. We've spent a lot of time analyzing and measuring and trying to figure out what's the exact right message for the exact right persona at the right time. And we've forgotten that it's like, hey, they might not care. So maybe we should think about making them care and capturing their attention and awareness first. And that's hard to do too, but you're definitely going to fail at it if you start with all about you, like this myopic, hey, my product's really, really good. And I know you persona. Like I know what your day-to-day is. You should start with knowing them, but start with like the bigger challenge first and not just like, hey, let me tell you about solving your identity challenges. There's a different way to do it. And we've had some success at it. And I feel very fortunate that the market's responded so well.
I was going to say we can blame inbound marketing and HubSpot for all of that. That's okay. That's for another episode.
They don't sponsor our conference, so we can say whatever we want about HubSpot. Don't turn off our license. Okay.
Do you guys use it? So do we. Love HubSpot.
I know we do too.
It's thinking back. I do bleed orange. I do love HubSpot, but the inbound marketing and the funnel and the strategy from 10 years ago is killing us today.
The waterfall, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yes.
I'm going to guess that you would argue, but maybe you're humble. Maybe you aren't. I would guess you'd argue that Torq had the best booth at RSAC. Who had the second best booth?
Forbes just compared us to Wiz. Shout out to Forbes, our friends at Forbes. They wrote a great article comparing the trajectory of Torq, but also the brand approach. I think Wiz is the standard on all things, not just the valuation, like valuation and the whole acquisition thing aside. To me, Wiz was and is the best in the game, no doubt, their marketing. So shout out to that team. Like that team has set the bar, I think, extremely high, and they're just so creative. Cecotopia, the musical, the shoes, they were early on shoes. Like they're just really, really good. And that team, I think, is Roy, who leads that brand team. They're just phenomenal. And the connection between the product and the brand and the community, it's just seamless. So they're the best in the game. We feel very fortunate to even be connected or compared to them. They're the best at this stage. And rightfully so. Like that, like you don't get to $32 billion acquisition without being really world-class. So shout out to Wiz. They're phenomenal.
Shout out Wiz. We'll see who wins Best Booth Award this year with the Cybersecurity Marketing Society's Beautiful Booth Awards. Last year, Wiz won in their category. So
You got to submit, Don.
yeah,
I did. There was like fields to fill in about your booth. And I just wrote monster truck, monster truck, monster truck on all the fields. So
that's very on brand.
yeah, right.
Talk to us about your journey so far in marketing, cybersecurity marketing. Obviously, you have some astonishing numbers at PAX 8, taking revenue from 5 million to 1 billion. And we need to know how.
Yeah. Tell us the exact steps so we could copy them.
Yes.
Man, that was such a ride. And I joined that company in 2016. There were like 25 employees at the time. I moved to Colorado. I'm still here in Denver for that company. And I just have so much respect for that whole team. I was just down at the office yesterday having lunch, talking with Nick, who is the CRO dude there. I wish also in this sense that like I made more notes about how it worked. It went by extremely fast. They're over 2,000 employees now. They're everywhere. They're in APAC. They're in EMEA. They have headquarters all over the globe. I think it was, again, a very similar approach. In fact, the approach for PAX 8 was referenced when Ofer, our CEO, reached out. He said, I want the exact same playbook that you guys did at PAX 8, which was brand first. To back up a little bit, PAX 8 is a cloud marketplace that makes buying, selling, and managing cloud products easy, specifically for the managed service provider and the MSSP. And they are able to create a really great user experience for MSPs managing software for their customers. And for the vendor, like for all the vendors, they're also able to create a much more cost-effective way to access the SMB and mid-markets for large vendors. So if you think about Microsoft, CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, all these massive vendors, they really have a hard time going after the SMB and mid-market. And the way to that part of the market is through the managed service provider, because a lot of those MSPs own that part of the market, right? And so PAX 8 makes it very cost-effective for these vendors to get into those spaces. And so this is like a very layered story. Like, how do you tell this story? Like, at the time, it was like PAX 8 was being compared to big distribution, Ingram Micro, TD SYNNEX, but we weren't shipping hardware, so we weren't really a distributor, but we were viewed as that from a category perspective. So for PAX 8, it was like, how do we carve out another lane? And the playbook is identical, okay? Like, that's what we'll find. It's like, what's the story? Distribution is broken. We said basically 3 reasons why billing was a nightmare, provisioning was slow, and support was terrible. So for the MSP, the buyer, if you worked with Ingram Micro or TD SYNNEX, those guys are really tough to work with for the MSP. Like, provisioning cloud products was super delayed because they lacked API integrations. And billing was bad because they didn't have like consolidated billing and co-terming and all. We basically distilled it down to distribution is broken. And to escape distribution, you need a wingman. And wingman was basically this persona that was there for the MSP, and our platform is going to help you escape your distribution nightmare. And it grew really fast. And it was very much a brand-led go-to-market with community as the backdrop. Like, how do we go out and win the MSP's hearts and minds? And we did it by enabling them to sell more Microsoft, understanding how to sell security into the end customer, bundling this stuff together for better margins. And it went really fast. We grew really, really fast, and we had an incredible team, and the playbook kind of worked. And I think at PAX 8, we were able to prove a lot of things out, like on how this works, on how building a community works, how building a brand works. And we learned a lot. And I feel super fortunate to be part of that ride. And they're still going extremely strong. Like they took out a New York Times ad 2-3 weeks ago that called out old distribution. And they said, if you want to buy the future, you want to work with Pax8. If you're looking to buy the past, TD SYNNEX and Ingram Micro are selling it. Like they're selling the past, which I think is like, so they're going still hard at this very disruptive tone. A lot of the DNA we started with in 2016, 2017 is still there, which I'm super proud of. And that team's incredible. So I got my Pax8 mouse pad here. I learned a ton there. And the team is just incredible. Nick, Jen, Ryan Walsh, the CEO, Scott Chasen, they're very cool.
You're running towards this like combative. It's like, hey,
Yes.
This is like total disruption. And I think a lot of security companies would really like to do that. But there's always this weird, like the industry is so small, so close. Everybody's a partner. Everybody's a competitor. You can't screw with Microsoft too much or they won't let you in their like partner thing. So I think there's a bit of fear of being punchy. SOAR is big, Splunk, right? Like these are big, huge companies. And then Pax8 taking on, like you just said, like the AWSs and the Microsofts of the world is to me, I would be like, we might be a little crushed by the punch back, right?
Right.
How do you think about that? It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't care. We're going to grab whatever market we can. I'm not that afraid. Tell us a little bit more.
I think you have to really understand the customer's pain points. And for us at the time, the MSP, like go back to 2016. I mean, this feels like 100 years ago, but 2016, some cloud products, Big Disty hadn't figured out how to turn on or provision cloud products. Okay. So with the MSP trying to sell cloud and then trying to buy it, this is as technical as I get, but like when they would buy and provision or turn on, there was this massive delay. And I was at Symantec before I was at Pax8. And I remember in sales, our salespeople said, I can sell SEP, Symantec Endpoint Protection .cloud, but I don't get commissioned on it until it gets turned on or provisioned. And when I sell it through the big disties, I don't get paid for weeks, if not months, because they're too slow. And so I found out about Pax8 because the salespeople at Symantec started selling only through this boutique distributor in Denver. And I remember thinking, this is really interesting that like a little disty, they were a marketplace, but our salespeople said, sell through Pax8 because they turn it on same day. The customer's happier, I get paid. And so it's not like I'm going to go out and go punch something big right away to get attention. If you understand the pain point, you realize that, these MSPs, these salespeople, they all have had a bad experience buying, selling, managing cloud products through Big Disty. If I can creatively package that story, I can go get people to start paying attention to Pax8, which this was very common. Like everybody had a bad Big Disty experience back in 2016 through 2020 because they really hadn't figured out API integrations. They were slow to cloud because their model, if you think about it, was shipping. It was about packing and shipping hardware. And that's how the Disty model was built, banking and shipping. So they were slow to cloud. Pax8 was built for the cloud. And so we had this like technology advantage that said we can turn on cloud products the same day. Nobody else could do that at the time. And so then we went out and just said, hey, distribution is broken. This is built for an on-prem era and we're cloud. This is cloud native. The world's moving to cloud. You got to be able to buy, sell, and manage cloud easier. That's Pax8. And then COVID happened, right? And everybody had to move to cloud, which made Pax8's marketplace really attractive because you could provision same day and it was really good.
Oh, so they still hadn't caught up. Like the big players hadn't caught up.
Well, it pushed MSPs to also push everything to cloud. So their customers who were really this is laggard by then, but like it just accelerated the need to have cloud adoption because people weren't going into the office.
I love this story.
Yeah. So it's not so much like, I'm going to go like pick a fight with the big incumbents. It's more like if you can find a real problem and pain point and get that visceral reaction, then you're kind of onto something. And for us here at Torq, when you listen to gong calls with customers, you just kept hearing the same thing, which is my SOAR, it's extremely expensive, my renewal. To actually get automations that we've been promised, right? Because SOAR is old. They promise this automated future. And the truth is that most customers are only automating 4 to 5 different processes. And this is years after they've adopted. To get more automation going, they need to hire more experts, right? People with Python expertise or hire professional services with the Ciscos or the Palo Altos. And so it's just not really scalable, and people have had a really bad experience, and we're talking about it and people are responding like, yeah, I have had a bad experience with SOAR. I'm looking for an alternative.
Honestly, I think you're making it so simple. I know it's not as simple, right? There's a lot of work that goes into this. But I think a lot of us, when we're trying to really understand the pain point, talk to customers, look at the market, and bring all of that data into one place to workshop what would be our value proposition, what's that one thing that's going to get the attention. I think sometimes we over-engineer or we're too scared of it. It's like the big bear that nobody wants to poke. Hey, we have one use case, it works. Let's just go with that, even if it's generic or the sea of sameness. Your two stories right now just make it so simple. Just so simple.
I think it's also just a result of me not really overthinking. Like, I think that I'm like on the opposite of analysis. Like, it's worked so far. We don't overanalyze. There is an intuitiveness to like how we move and the stuff we make, because the stuff we're doing, you can't really put measurement or data to it, right? Like, data is kind of a mirror. It kind of like shows you what's already been done. And a lot of times we're trying to think about like new approaches that haven't been done, and there's not a lot of proof points to point to of why it should work. It really, data is the past. Like, measurement is a reflection of what has already happened. And I think for us, we're really trying to figure out what's next with our brand, what's next in marketing trends, and trying to figure out cool ways to break through. And for me, it's like, keep it really simple, because there's too much information out there. I think we have measured ourselves to death and also like kind of personified everything, like to the point where it's like there's too many profiles. It's like, just get back to like getting attention from people and speaking to the most common pain point, which is usually at kind of a macro level versus like this like very specific niche. That's hard to do. Like, those niche stories are hard, and there's such a small audience.
Very hard. Very hard. Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to implement these like niche stories with different segments in your back end, like I think of that now, and it's an absolute nightmare, right? If your data is all over the place, how are you creating the segments? Where is everything getting sent?
Yeah.
Disaster.
And plus, like, I think it's like, get known for, I mean, this is like probably like marketing from way back in the day. It's like jingle level stuff, right? Like, but I think like that stuff, get known for a tagline that is very audible ready, that salespeople can say, okay, SOAR is dead. We believe that because XYZ. Distribution is broken. We believe that because XYZ. And you give suddenly the whole your whole internal audience something to get behind. And that internal movement starts with this belief that like, oh, we're going up against Goliath, right? For me, I've always just taken on in these roles, these massive behemoths like Ingram Micro. And in this case, like a Cisco, Splunk, or Palo Alto, right? Like, these are big, big companies, and you need your internal audiences to believe in the movement and believe in what you're doing. And you can't say, okay, here's our 3-page messaging and positioning doc on how we do it by persona. It's more like, what's the big overarching story? What's our belief? Yep. We believe SOAR is dead, right? We believe that. And this is why we believe that.
I love it.
So it's simple by design in a way.
And that's why we're so excited. Speaking of old-timey jingles and solid foundational marketing, that's why we're excited to have you speak this year at CyberMarketingCon, Don.
And I'm so excited, Gianna. If you've liked this podcast, you're going to love our time at the conference.
If you haven't liked this podcast, we already talked about that earlier before we started recording, and too bad. Hey, everyone. Have you gotten your ticket to come to CyberMarketingCon, the best and only and biggest conference for marketing in cybersecurity and go-to-market in cybersecurity specifically? 4 days, Austin, Texas. Sorry, I'm like taking a little of the Torq
You
stuff.
sound like you work at Monster Truck.
Sunday. I'm just joking. Monster Jam does not want you saying Sunday. We learned that. That is out.
Nope. It's just Monday, Tuesday. Well, it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. In Austin, Texas, we have tracks for any type of marketing in all levels of marketing at cybersecurity companies. We have a field marketing track. We have a channel track. We have a demand gen. We have a MOPS track. And of course, we have our CMO track and our keynote stage where Don will be talking. And hey, is your CEO annoying? Your CEO maybe doesn't understand marketing. We have our second year, we'll be running our CEO, our Cyber CEO Summit, which is for CEOs, founders, and investors. That'll be Wednesday, and it'll be all about go-to-market geared towards the CEO and founder.
All right, done.
Yeah, Maria's like, stop. Will you stop?
Yeah,
oh my God.
So good.
So anyway, it's a different URL. It's cybermarketingconference.com, but you can get to it from our main website. Thank you. We're so excited for Don to speak. Maria, is it time for a game or should we talk about field marketing?
It's time for our game, but one more question and then also just one more compliment on something I saw on Torq Social. You guys, when you were in San Fran, you did kind of like a remake to Family Matters. I think it was Family Matters, right?
It's Full House.
Full House. Oh, yeah. See, that's okay. You know, 90s show. That's okay. And that was so cool. I that was the exact park, right? Where
it was. The exact park. And honestly, like, I have to give a shout out to just the team. Like, that wasn't planned. So a lot of our stuff, like, you guys can't tell, a lot of our stuff is very improv, right? Like, there's a book, Everything I Learned About Business, I learned from the Grateful Dead. And there is some improv to it. It's like a jam band of marketing. We're making it up as we go. We have a general set list that we're following a bit, but we're just kind of feeling our way through it. And that the team, our production team that's shooting all this content, run and gun, was like, we're going to San Francisco, and they just did it. And we didn't find a spot on the corporate account, like where to, like the Torq, if we can call it corporate, the Torq main account, to put that in. And then I was like, man, this is too good not to use. And so I was like, I'm using it for a special shout out to the production crew. But it's improv. So much of this stuff is just on the fly. What do we think would be funny? And I think that a lot of that is kind of back to the team building. You need a lot of different types of people who are bringing a lot of different backgrounds and interests and like cultural references. Yeah. I think that cultural stuff is so great to bring into marketing. For those who like knew it, it felt like, oh, I love this. This reminds me of my childhood. Totally. And again, back to the monster truck. It's like a lot of this is just marketing for our younger selves. Like, it's just a fun callback to the stuff we grew up with.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to your team and to you. It's been amazing looking at your feed and what the team has done so far.
Yeah, no, they're crushing it. It's very fun to be a part of.
Can you share any numbers on like views, et cetera, that have resulted from this? Yeah,
we put on 1,106 new LinkedIn followers on the week of RSA. We did, and that was a 70% increase from 2024. And then we had 16,066 engagements, which was close to a 400% increase from 2024. We had 13,729 LinkedIn clicks, which is 437% increase. The scans, we were up, boost scans, not that those are, take all these metrics for what they are. We saw increases across the board, like massive increases, but compared to 2024. Again, a lot of people like think we've always had these big booths, or this is the first year we've done a big booth of that magnitude. Last RSA, we had 2 demo stations and a screen. So like, it wasn't like we've always had these big booths. It's been just building trust with our teams that this stuff pays off. We have an incredible sales team behind us that converts this stuff. Again, it's all fun, but if the revenue's not there, if the pipeline's not getting generated, hey, great, you guys do good at social. Like, is it converting? It is converting. That's why we're able to get these bigger booths and do bigger, more insane activations. So again, like, we're out there, we get a lot of this buzz, like, oh, the marketing's fun, they got monster trucks, their social's funny. At the end of the day, all that stuff falls down with an incredible product and an incredible team behind you converting. And so I just want to give a shout out to our teams who come back and then just go to work. The real work starts after RSA. You get all these leads, you get all this excitement. Now, how do you go capitalize on it? We're doing the demo that lit RSA on fire, a live demo next week, right? So if you missed it in the booth, go to torq.io, sign up for that autonomous SOC demo next week, right? We're thinking about that conversion the whole way through. So like, yes, we get attention, we get all these numbers, they look great. What we're really going to measure is if RSA was successful as a pipeline we generate for sales. And that's in partnership with sales and product.
Love it. Can you give us any sort of percentage increase or, hey, like at the booth, like, obviously, we got so many more scans, but
the biggest thing, and the scans are one thing. It's like, great, you stopped by the booth. That we appreciate you stopping by. The biggest thing for RSA and what marketers want to think about is the pre-work. Okay, so creating the conditions for the business to happen that week. And for us, it's about meetings, not meetings that happen impromptu in the booth. It's the pre-booked meetings that we're looking at. And so for us, we had a 159% increase in meetings booked ahead of RSA this year. So we were close to 100 meetings booked at our EBC. We had so many meetings that the week before RSA, 3 days before RSA, we had to book a second EBC in the St. Regis. So we had two EBC suites in the St. Regis, and then we had our Insight Partner Lounge that we were doing meetings. The team was just cranking. Some folks on our team, on the sales team, never even saw the booth because they've just been running to meeting to meeting to meeting. And that's a grind. Again, it's fun to be in the booth and running around making funny little videos about missing birds. That's one thing. But our sales guys are just out there grinding, meeting to meeting to meeting. They carry granola bars in their backpacks because they have no time to eat. So that's the magic when you have teams grinding on all fronts. And we had an incredible RSA for that, all the meetings that happened.
This is absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, we're running out of time here. Don, there's so many more questions we want to ask you about your background in field marketing, which is cool, about why did you choose Torq? Are there other companies? How did Ofair finally convince you? But we have to play our game, which is amazing.
Let's play the game.
Yeah. I mean, I thought we had this preset at a 3-hour episode. I don't know why we picked just 1 hour. We didn't prepare well with it.
Nope. We're just like your video team. It's on the fly.
yeah, improv. I love it.
No, we do have to have you back for sure. We have to have you back in a couple of months, maybe, more detailed ROI and how to actually make the most of your investment.
Yeah, I think we'll know a lot at the end of Q2, going into Q3, how this all performed. The leading indicators are really, really strong though. So we're super excited.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Time to play the game. So, Don, every episode, we torture our guest. No, I'm just kidding. We take a turn at guessing what the guest would be doing career-wise if they weren't working in cybersecurity marketing currently. So, most of the wild, crazy guesses come from Gianna.
I already have mine.
Okay.
I'm more on the conservative side, but sometimes I play off of my vibes and what I'm getting from you. Yeah. And we tally up how many times we've won, and then we shame each other at CyberMarketingCon.
We're mean.
Okay.
We're awful to each other. We shouldn't be co-hosts.
Yes. This year we're going to do a full-size cutout of the loser, right? Is that what we're doing?
I think so. And like crying or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yes. Well,
now I'm interested. Okay, what are the guesses?
Okay, I'm going to go first because every time I let her go first in the last few episodes, she's won. So I'm taking charge. So Don, I definitely see you in the sports world.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm getting I don't know, not snowboarding, but maybe the skateboarding world. I see you running either a school or a surf school or some sort of sport in that realm, or maybe a show or something that's covering that side of it.
She's I'm gonna get it, or potentially media,
or potentially a CMO at a cybersecurity.
Yeah.
No, that's cheating. That's cheating. Also, just because the last name is Jeter.
Yeah, maybe athletics. No. Yeah.
No, but they're just baseball. I'm talking surfing, skateboarding, snowboarding.
I wish I could skate better. It's one of those things where it's man, I tried when I was younger, I was so bad at it. And then it's I'm reduced to longboarding.
Reduced.
Not real skating. No disrespect to people who longboard, but yeah.
I've fallen off a longboard once. Yeah. So no disrespect taken. So my guess, the Grateful Dead, the main guy, I think he's dead. He's actually dead. Yeah, so Jerry's dead, but there is another awesome band that has all of its members currently called Fish. I think you would be one of those people who follows Fish around and you sell things out of the back of your truck, like stickers and homemade bongs and things like that.
So a jam band groupie?
That's a job. Maria is not entertained at all.
No, I've gone to a ton of Dead & Co shows. We were just at the Sphere 2 weeks ago. Literally worst idea ever. Go to the Grateful Dead at the Sphere the weekend before RSA and roll straight in. I flew from Vegas to San Francisco Monday morning. It was the worst idea ever. But my brother-in-law turned 50 and we had a great celebration to go see the Dead and do Vegas. It was a blast, but it was not great to roll into RSA week coming off of that. I think
that'll be your sponsorship next year. Actually.
I think I'd be somewhere in between. I think I would I think sportswear and sports marketing and there's something with fashion in that world that I think is I would have growing up. I would have always wanted to work at Nike, and I think being from Oregon, I think that there was always Nike's the destination I want to be at. But then I just kind of got into tech and then was well, how do I make something that feels sort of Nike adjacent or sportswear adjacent consumery in these brands, which has proven to be really fun. So yeah, I think I'm in between jam band groupie and maybe more sports marketing though, like at one of those brands. I've always been obsessed with brand. So like that's probably where I would be, somewhere working for a brand.
I'm going to drop a mom joke, but I'm going to say, why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
Why don't you just pick me as the winner?
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying quit your job and go
No,
do
she said
sports.
just do it like Nike, the Nike slogan. I got it. She'll be here all week, folks.
Every week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Every week on Wednesday. Okay, so who won?
Who won?
I mean, I think Maria's closer, but she's on the board.
Maria's closer and she's winning more frequently and everybody
right.
loves Maria. That's so wonderful.
I'm going first from now on. That's it.
It is
But no,
the first mover
that
advantage.
is a fun game.
Yeah.
So what would you be doing?
I think that's it. I think I'd work at a brand. I think I'd work at a big brand. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like I think Nike was always like I grew up drawing shoes and like doing that stuff. So
Oh, there you go. Okay, let's tag Nike when we go live with this
man.
episode.
Yeah, let's have him. We'll have Nike start reaching out. Sorry, Torq team. All right, Maria.
Yeah, thank you so much, Don, for joining us
thanks. This
today.
is a fun discussion.
Literally a week and a half after RSA. I know how these weeks are also crazy busy, so we appreciate you taking the time.
Oh yeah, no,
from
I'm
your
glad
day.
to be asked to do the exclusive RSAC post show.
Yeah, this was really, really cool. For our listeners, I'm pretty sure you all had a lot of fun listening to this as much as Gianna and I listening to Don. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, there's a new episode that drops every Wednesday, so hit that subscribe button so you can get the alert. And tell your friends and family and neighbors and other friends in marketing about the show. And see you all next time.
Tell Nike. Bye.
Yeah, tell Nike about the show.